In the beginning, they didn't fear us. To them, humanity was a curiosity, primitive, emotional, too fragile to matter. Their science stretched across 10,000 worlds. They had conquered biology itself. They believed that chemistry was obedience, and life could be rewritten. Glass clinks. A glowing vial rises inside containment. From that arrogance, they created a weapon. A toxin that erased the concept of survival. One molecule, and every nerve screamed itself into silence. They called it Virex 9, the final solution for war. A drop could sterilize an ocean. Hiss of gas. Alarm tone fades in the distance. They tested it on everything that breathed. Plants dissolved, metals corroded, blood turned to smoke. And when they looked upon the last remaining species, the humans, they smiled. Let us end this experiment once and for all. Heartbeats quicken. A human figure steps into the chamber. They expected pleading. They expected fear. But the human only asked one question. How strong is it? Then, before anyone could stop him, he drank. Silence, drip echo. Then, a laugh. The monitors screamed impossible readings. Cell death reversed. Enzymes adapted, mutating in seconds. The poison was burning, but the body was learning. He coughed once and grinned. Not bad, he said, voice rough with amusement. Not anymore. Music swells, alien gasps, frantic footsteps. The scientists stared. The weapon of extinction had become a party trick. They watched him stumble, laugh, and sing. They saw others join him, raising cups of the lethal brew. Within a day, the toxin had a name on Earth, alcohol. Within a week, humanity had turned death into a celebration. Chanting crowd, glasses clinking, drums like distant thunder. The aliens called it madness. We called it Friday night. They tried to understand, why would a species toy with annihilation? But that's the secret, isn't it? Humans don't run from danger. They taste it. They turn it into story, into ritual, into art. Music shifts proud, orchestral. From the first spark of fire to the first sip of poison, we have always found a way to live through the impossible. Poison became drink. Fear became laughter. And every scar became a song, echo of a toast. Across the stars, the others watched. They realized humanity didn't conquer death by avoiding it. They befriended it. They danced with it. And the universe learned a truth that day. No matter what you make to kill them, humans will find a way to make it fun. Soft fade. Wind through empty halls. A whisper. To the end of the world, the human said, raising his glass. And to whatever comes after. They thought it was over. That humanity's laughter would fade once the poison reached the brain. Once the fire consumed the blood. But it didn't. Hours passed. The toxin that liquefied entire ecosystems simply lost its power. The humans were still singing, off-key and happy, swaying in the chemical fog as if it were air. Soft metallic click, a recorder starts. An alien voice whispers. Subject remains alive. Displays joy response. Impossible. One of them, the youngest scientist, stepped forward and asked, what if this is not immunity? What if this is adaptation? And in that moment, the others realized what they were facing. Not defiance, not madness. Evolution in real time. Music rises. Human laughter echoes through the laboratory. Word spread through the colonies. The toxin failed. The humans lived. Panic became awe. Awe became fear. Because if a species could turn death into pleasure, what else could they turn? Scene shift, starlight over a dark planet, alien fleets drifting. They tried again. Stronger doses, new formulas, sharper molecules. Each more precise, more elegant, more cruel. And every time, the same result. The humans coughed, blinked, laughed, and adapted. They wrote songs about it. They made competitions out of it. They gave their poison names. Whispered montage, vodka, whiskey, rum greater than. Across the galaxy, human toxin became legend. Soldiers told stories that if you gave a human venom, they'd thank you for the flavor. That if you filled a room with death, they'd call it Friday night. It wasn't the chemistry that terrified the others. It was the meaning behind it. These creatures didn't survive because they were immune. They survived because they accepted the pain. Because every burn, every failure, every fall became part of their story. You can't defeat a species that celebrates its own suffering. You can't conquer those who drink their fear and call it courage. They engineered the perfect poison. Humanity turned it into hope. Long pause. Then, softly, as if a toast. So here's to the mad ones. To the poison drinkers, the flame eaters, the fools who laugh at extinction. Because while the universe trembles, they raise their glasses and live another day. Fade out gentle music, echo of laughter, heartbeat slows to silence. After the toxin, silence spread through the laboratories of 100 worlds. Data flickered across alien screens, graphs, molecular scans, biomaps. And every one of them ended the same way: subject, human, status, alive. They couldn't erase it. No equation could explain it. The poison that ended planets had become a joke in a bar on Earth. Distant laughter echoes, then fades back into the hum of starship engines. So they changed tactics. Not war, not extermination. Curiosity. They brought the humans in, scientists, soldiers, even artists, trying to learn what made them different. They ran tests on endurance, pain, fear. Every time the results came back, the aliens grew quieter, because the answer was never in the blood. It was in the will. Strings rise softly, like hope behind danger. Humans failed constantly, yet they smiled. They lost and called it experience. They burned and said, "We learned." They could not be broken because they never believed they were whole to begin with. They were becoming always, endlessly becoming. Flash of thunder, then the steady beat of a heart. Some of the younger species began to worship them. Others feared them like ghosts. Rumors spread that humanity's weakness was its greatest weapon. That pain only made them stronger. That grief forged their art. That they could not understand life without flirting with death. Brief pause. A human voice laughs faintly in the background. "We don't drink to die," one of them told his captors. "We drink to remember we're still alive." And the aliens wrote that line down, uncertain whether it was wisdom or insanity. Music swells, a mixture of fear and reverence. Entire empires began to question their own existence. What if the universe had chosen wrong? What if the fragile creatures of Earth weren't the anomaly, but the blueprint? A starfield fills the horizon. Soft choral tones rise. They engineered the perfect toxin to prove they were gods. Humanity turned it into laughter and proved they were something else. Something the universe had never seen before. Something that could take the worst creation in existence and make it beautiful. Quiet again. Just a voice, close and human. So remember this, traveler of the stars. If you ever meet a human raising a glass, don't fear the poison in it. Fear the smile behind it, because that smile means the story isn't over yet. Music fades out, slow, warm echo of laughter carried through space. In time, fear turned into fascination. They could not stop watching the humans. Every attempt to catalog them only deepened the mystery. They adapt, said one report. They suffer, said another. They keep going, whispered the last. Across the laboratories of the Orion Belt, a single question echoed. What would it feel like to be like them? Soft metallic click. A containment chamber seals. Her name was Lether, an alien biochemist, young by her people's measure. She had spent years studying human resilience from behind safety glass. But one night, she broke protocol. She took a sample, the same toxin the humans drank, and let one shimmering drop fall onto her tongue. Instant rushes sound, heartbeat quickens, breathing harsh. Pain. Fire in every nerve, light behind her eyes. Her body screamed for release. And then silence. And in that silence, something new. A pulse. A laugh. A warmth she had never known. Faint echo of human laughter blends with alien breathing. She didn't die. She felt alive. Is this what they feel? She asked herself. This chaos, this joy, soft orchestral rise, strings, and distant choral voices. She wrote a final note in her log. The toxin does not destroy life. It reminds it that it exists. Her superiors called it infection. They quarantined her, burned her notes. But it was too late. The idea had already escaped. Music grows heavier, rhythmic, tribal drumbeat. Soon, soldiers, workers, and scholars began taking the human dose. Not to die, but to feel. And for the first time in centuries, alien cities heard something they had forgotten. Laughter. Crowd sounds, soft celebration, the clinking of glasses. Humanity had done the impossible again. Without war, without conquest, they had changed an entire civilization simply by being themselves. The universe realized that the human's greatest weapon wasn't technology, or strategy, or even resilience. It was the courage to turn pain into meaning. Music slows, a single flute playing a hopeful theme. The toxin that once killed galaxies now carried another name. Not poison, not alcohol, hope. Silence, then the final voice, low and calm. Somewhere on a distant world, a human and an alien share a glass beneath the stars. The drink glows faintly between them. To survival, the alien says. No, the human smiles. To living. Music swells, then fades out to a quiet heartbeat. Centuries passed. Empires rose, fell, and turned to dust among the stars. Yet one story refused to die. The story of the creatures who drank poison and called it courage. They called them humans. Soft choral tone. Ancient archives flicker open. At first, they were only a myth. A tale whispered in starports and war camps of reckless beings who laughed in the face of oblivion. But the myth spread like wildfire. On worlds where emotion was forbidden, statues of smiling faces began to appear. In colonies where obedience was law, forbidden songs in old earth languages were sung under the moonlight. Echo of a soft melody, a human lullaby drifting in alien tongues. And in every corner of the galaxy, the same words began to take root. Be human. It meant be brave. It meant feel everything. It meant live even when it hurts. Wind rises, gentle, hopeful. The species that once terrified the galaxy had become its heartbeat. The very toxin that was meant to end them had become the symbol of life itself, bottled, shared, and celebrated, not as poison, but as memory. Clinking glasses, a faint echo of laughter. They called it the breath of earth. Just one sip, and you remembered. Not who you were, but what you could become. Pause, the voice softens, personal. Some say the humans are still out there, watching, waiting, guiding. Others say they burned out long ago, a spark that shone too bright, too fast. But even if they're gone, the universe still carries their echo. Background, soft rhythmic pulse, like a heartbeat in the cosmos. Every time someone chooses compassion over fear, that's them. Every time someone risks everything for love, that's them. Every time someone smiles in the face of the impossible, that's humanity. Music swells vast, orchestral, filled with wonder. They didn't conquer the galaxy. They changed it. Not through power, through presence, through the courage to feel when everyone else was afraid to. Final words soft, almost a whisper. The universe remembers the day humans drank the deadliest poison ever made and laughed. That laugh still echoes through every star. Music fades, the sound of wind, laughter, and a final heartbeat.